Hello everybody, I am the Southern Aviator and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are at Faro Airport in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in the EasyJet Europe livery for, I think it's got an Alpine call sign, this flight today. We're in Oscar Echo Lima Sierra Juliet, which is an aircraft that I've just got off the flightsim.to website. Very nice livery, by the way. I would highly recommend it. It's got all of the dirt on the engines and everything, as you can see. Very nice indeed. And in the Faro airport scenery, and we've got a Ryanair A320? No, that would be very cursed. A Ryanair 737 just spawned in, because I'm using, I think it was traffic controller, the AIG models anyway, for the flight today. But yeah, welcome on board the EasyJet A32NX. Let's get inside the cockpit for this tutorial video about how you start up this aircraft, and more to follow. So let's get straight into the cockpit. So welcome into the cockpit of the A320neo. Nothing is set up at all. It's all completely cold and dark. I'll be taking you through how to start this thing up. So first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go up to the overhead panel, and batteries 1 and 2 can both go to the on position. You can hear things starting to whir up, and then we can turn the external power where the green available light is on. You can turn that on and it makes more noises, so very nice indeed. You'll hear the air conditioning doing its self-test. There we go. Perfect, and it's died down a bit now. So I'll turn Gen 1 and Gen 2 to the on position. They'll say fault because both of the engines aren't on yet. And then we can start our flows. So flows are basically starting from the top left and going down to the bottom right hand side of the overhead panel. I would get a quick view to set up the overhead panel, but I can't seem to move at all in the cockpit in my sim, which is a little bit annoying. I wish the camera system was a little bit less clunky, but that's just the way it is. So, up the top left, ADIRSs are currently on off. Now the ADIRSs, if you're used to other aircraft, are also the IRSs. I call them the IRSs generally. And yeah, let's put them all to nav. 1, 2, 3. Now IRSs 1, 3 and 2 it goes in. I don't know why it's got that particular order. Maybe someone in the comments could explain that. Any real pilots, maybe tell me, because I'm very interested to know. Anyway, as we move down the left hand side, oxygen crew supply can come to the on position, and the fuel pumps up the top we can leave off. We've set up all of the electrics that we need to at the moment, and we can get the nav and no-go light to the on position. On the right hand side there we've got cabin pressure, nothing needs to be done there, and right down at the bottom we can turn the emergency exit lights to the arm position. And now, apart from the fuel pumps, everything is it has no off signs basically, so that's all set up. Go back to the center view. Now you can increase the brightness of all of the displays so that you can see them, which is very useful, because if you can't see your displays you can't read them, and if you can't read them, that's not very good. So primary flight display dial you can turn up until you can see it well, that's okay. And again, the navigational display, which is the inner dial, turn that up as well. Perfect. So I can actually see that now, which is brilliant. Now I'll do that for the other screens as well while we're there. So the ECAM upper and lower down here we can also turn up, and I'm not going to bother with the co-pilot's stuff because I don't pay attention to that because I'm on the other side, so only makes sense. So that is basically the initial cockpit prep done. Now we're going to get into the MCDU, the MacDo as some people call it, and that is basically the flight management computer for those of you in the Boeings. So I'll turn the brightness of this up just so that I can see it better and you can as well. Now the first thing we need to do is obviously clear those warnings like I've done, so just click clear on everything so that it's completely blank and clean, so that's very nice. First thing you're going to want to do is go to the init page. Now this is where the flight plan comes in. Flight plan is very important and I use Volanta for it, so let's create a flight plan. So I've just created an aircraft, Oscar Echo Lima Sierra Juliet, an Airbus A320neo in for EasyJet Europe. So I've set that up, and now I've done that, I need to start a flight. So my call sign today, let's put in Alpine 224. Why not? And it auto fills in the flight number as Alpine 224 as well. That is absolutely fine. And we're going today to Basel, Lima Foxtrot Sierra Bravo from here on the ground in Faro. So we're going to click on add a flight plan and we'll use SimBrief for it. Okay then, so here are the SimBrief options, and basically pretty much auto fills everything in for you. So again, Alpine 224, departing Faro to Basel. Alternate today is Frankfurt. It is the 31st of March at 1740. So we are in the A320neo, as I've said before. Climb profile, we can leave all of that completely as it is. Basically, it fills everything in for you. If it hasn't done the airframe, then feel free to put it in as A20neo for the A320. So now everything is set up, we can generate the flight. Confirm you want to do the flight plan, I'll do that, and it goes through all of this. Okay, so when it's all finished, it comes up with all of the information you put in before, and it comes up with a routing and your main flight plan. Now if we go back to Volanta, we can check SimBrief for the flight, and we'll give it a moment. And there we go, import from SimBrief, Alpine 224. So I'll click on that, and here's my route. Very nice indeed. So we depart Faro up through southern Portugal and across Spain to the west of Santander and across the Bay of Biscay to Ramsey and Paris. I think I'm going to do a few directs here. We'll see on the route how that goes, because we sort of do a bit of a pointless flight to the north, so I might change that. We will see, but that is the routing for today anyway. Now that's everything done in Volanta. So if I go back to the aircraft now, I can go to the fly pad on the left here, and I'll start it up just by clicking on it. It comes up with SimBrief data not yet loaded. So the first thing you want to do when you're on the fly pad is import the SimBrief data. There we go. Faro to Basel Mulhouse, and it comes up with all the weather information from the aircraft. I've got it set to raw. If you're not used to reading METARs like I am, then you can change it to more simple stuff, basically. So if we go to the ground services tab here, we can connect the stairs and open the doors and do the external power and baggage truck. It's all for aesthetics really, so that's very nice indeed. Gives us information about our aircraft, interesting facts about the A320neo, and it comes up with our call sign Easy, which it shouldn't be, it should be Alpine today, as we are in EasyJet Europe. So here's our flight plan that we've just got from SimBrief. It's exactly the same on the dispatch page from the FlyByWire FlyPad. It's exactly the same, it's just much easier to access. Now the first thing we can do with this flight plan is we can sort out our block fuel for today's flight. So block fuel today, as it says down here, block fuel is 8602. I'm going to round that a little bit higher. I'm going to say 8,900. So if I go to fuel on the ground tab, I can change that to 8,900 kilograms, and I'll load that, and we are now fully loaded. I've set it up in my settings to do everything fast apart from the self-test, because that doesn't take long anyway. Yeah, boarding time was instant and everything like that. You can change in the realism tab for the aircraft. So there we go, we've got all our fuel, our ground services are connected, and we've got our flight plan. So now we can go over to our init page on the MacDo, and we can click init request. Now this auto-fills everything from your flight plan, apart from a few things that we're going to fill in a moment. So we've finished that. Now it's got most of the relevant information in it. If we go to IRS in it, it's all aligned for us, which is great, so we can click return. I'll clear the AOC flight plan uplink there, and the wind and temperature we can also fill in from the flight management computer. Now something has just spawned in. Oh, it's the 737. 737 is on the move, and the door's open. So tell you what, if I close that door, it doesn't make a difference in the sound. Oh well, never mind. So if I move down a little bit in the flight plan, you can see wind information. We need the climb wind information, let's say from flight level 100 up to 350, as it says there. So I'll fill that in quickly. Basically, let's do it for flight level 10 first. So we'll go, I think it was, let's have a look, 323 at 043. 043, and that's at flight level 100. And basically you do that for all of the information that's displayed on the wind information tab on the climb part of it. So 1008 through 350. I'm going to do that because it will take a while, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've filled in the climb winds now, and I can click onto the next phase and fill in the cruise winds, which are also on here. So top of climb, we'll use the top of climb wind information here. So from 340 up to flight level 420. I'll only go up to 400 today because I think that's the limit for the A320neo. I'm not entirely sure. We're not going to climb anywhere near up to flight level 420 anyway, so I'll do that quickly again and be right back. Okay then, so I've gone up to flight level 380, our cruising altitude for today, and I filled it in up to there. So yeah, I've done that. I've done as far as that. You only need to go up to your cruising altitude really, unless the wind is really bad and you need to climb for it, then that's something you need to account for in your flight plan. So I've only got wind, the wind's quite high, about 90 knots, but I think we can deal with that. It goes to 100 at flight level 340, so I think we'll be above it, above the worst of it at least for the vast majority of our flight today. Anyway, and click return now, and here we come back to our init A page, as we call it. After that we can go to the MCDU menu. We can click on the button there, and then we can go to ATSU, and then AOC, W/B, which stands for weight and balance, OFP request send. Now you want to click that, which plugs in everything from your OFP, and then you can start boarding. Again, I've got this set to instant, so it does that all very quickly for me. So with the weight and balance page completed, we can then go to the init page once again, and then click the right arrow. This takes you to the init fuel prediction page, also known as the init B page, where we can click on the top right button there, and it gives us the 0 fuel weight and the 0 fuel weight CG. We've got that Ryanair 737 in the background taking off, I can hear that.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer and cabin crew, I'd like
We've got an announcement as well.
We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as it.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm sorry, I've turned that off just to stop distracting me, I suppose. So with the block fuel, we click on that, and we can click on fuel planning and block confirm. So this is the amount of fuel that the aircraft predicts that we'll be able to that we'll need to fly with. So compared to the 8.9 I think I've got on board, we've got plenty in the event of go around or anything else. Next thing we need to do is click on flight plan, and then we need to put in our departure and arrival, our SIDS and stars. Click on your departure airport, LPFR for us today, then click on departure, and then go to your flight plan here once again, and go up to the route ID and the routing today. So we'll be taking runway 28 out today, Avora 1 Victor departure. So let's put that in, runway 28 Avora 1 Victor. We'll click insert, and there we go, we have some more waypoints on our flight plan as we click the up arrow to have a look through them. Now at the very bottom you can see LFSB, our arrival airport. You can click on that and then click on arrival. Now it's a similar process here. I can do it through here actually instead of opening up my SimBrief. So we'll be on the Airbus 8 kilo arrival today onto runway 33. So let's put in ILS 33 Zulu. Actually no, forget that. Let's try a different ILS for runway 33. Let's try Yankee. No star. And that is interesting. So if you have this problem, let's try X-ray. This is interesting. So there's no stars actually into Basel. Now this is where you have to improvise a little bit, because I think that's something with wrong with the sim nav data, because there isn't the arrival that we need. So basically, because that's happened, we need to make sure actually that the aircraft, the flight plan is okay, because we've sort of changed it up a little bit. So if we go on to plan mode up the top here, then we can see on the navigation display it gives us a full circle and a radius around a waypoint. Now this is basically used so we can see whether the flight plan is okay, as it says in plan mode, to plan your flight. So click the up arrow, and you can see all of the different waypoints that you're going to, and you can check that the flight plan is okay and make sure that it looks okay. Get rid of anything where there's any sort of loops or anything that you don't really need, then that's absolutely fine. So by the looks of it, we've got a decent arrival anyway, so that is perfectly fine. As you can see here, if I zoom out a little bit, so if I extend the range to 20 nautical miles, let's go 40 and 80, yeah, you can see absolutely fine there, no problems whatsoever. So I can go back to arc mode, how it is originally, and I can zoom back in to a 10 nautical mile range, and there we go. So that is our flight plan sorted. We've sort of changed it up a little bit for the arrival, but as far as I'm aware, there's no problem with that, and especially if you're not flying online, then that's fine as well. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the performance page, the perf page, and select your takeoff information. So basically in the A320 there are 4 stages of flap. There's flaps 1, 2, 3 and full. So generally you use flap 1 for takeoffs, and occasionally in bad weather or short runways you use flaps 2. So let's use flap 1 today. We've got a decent sized runway, and as you can see the weather is pretty good. On the METAR, no precipitation at all, so quite happy with that. So flaps 1 and the trim setting, you set it on this tab here. I generally go for up 0.5, which is basically the trim setting that's used for takeoff. Now, I don't have a calculator for this. There are calculators out there as far as I'm aware, I just don't really use them. So I usually choose up 0.5 for my trim, and you can change that on the wheel on the outside of the throttle, so in the middle between 0 and 1 up. So that's absolutely fine. And again, flex to takeoff temp. What we want to do with that is usually select a number between 30 and 60. I'm going to go for 38 today. It's a pretty decent day, so I'll use flex 38 today. Basically, flex temperatures derate your takeoff. If you're used to the Boeing, you can change the derate on the 737 and all the other Boeing aircraft like this as well. So now we want to select our V speeds. Now V1 we can click on and it comes up with a number in our scratch pad, this time 132. We can click it again, puts it in for us again for VR, 133, and V2 is 137. Now the V1 is the speed at which, if there was an emergency, you would have to take off, and the V rotate speed, as it says, is the speed at which you rotate the aircraft. So there we go. Transition altitude is 4,000, it says on the plane. I'm going to trust it because I don't really want to open my Navigraph, because you may not have Navigraph yourself. I would highly recommend it if you don't have it already. Okay then, so that is the performance page completed. I'm going to leave the MCDU on the takeoff page for takeoff, and up the top here, another thing that we can do is we can change the altitude on the autopilot panel all the way up to our cruising altitude of 38,000 feet. 38,000, there we go. Now everything else with dots and dashes basically means that autopilot's got it sorted. Flight directors, the FD, need to be green, so that means that they're on, and the altitude also has a little dot next to it, so the autopilot is going to deal with that itself as well. Another thing that we need to do is set the barometric pressure on the altimeters. So QNH here is 1012, so we can just change that by the dial here, and on the dial on the standby altimeter to 1012, and the other one is set automatically for us. Next thing we're going to want to do is start up the APU, because we are pretty much ready for pushback apart from that. So we're going to want to turn the APU master switch to the on position. Down at the bottom here comes up with an APU panel, and when it comes up with a green flap open sign, it means we can turn on the start. So there we go. We can turn on the start switch there. Another thing we'll do at this point is turn the no smoking signs to the auto position, and the seatbelt signs to the on position as well. While we're at it up the top, we're nearing our push and start, so I'm going to turn the fuel pumps on, just get rid of all of the off signs, and there we go. There's another aircraft just loaded in by the sounds of it, wherever it is. I have no idea. Figure that out in a minute. Okay, so we'll just wait for the APU to start. In the meantime, I'm intrigued to find out where this aircraft is, because I can hear it. It was really, really loud, but it's gone. It's not here. It's back again now. The sound keeps on returning. Interesting. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is shut the doors. Maybe that'll shut it up as well. If I go back to the services panel, disconnect the external power and baggage truck, as well as shutting the door and disconnecting the stairs. Let's make sure the door is closed. I don't know what's up with the sounds for the AIG models, but I might turn that off at some point. Anyway, APU is now available. I can turn the APU bleed on now, which will turn on the PAX or the aircon basically. You can hear that whir up now. External power can come off. We're now relying solely on the APU power, and we're ready for push and start. So, up the top here, I use the pushback helper tool by Ambitious Pilots. Very, very nice indeed. What I'm going to do now is pre-plan the pushback. So I'll click pre-plan. I would highly recommend you get this. It's on the flightsim.to website. So I'm going to actually push it straight to that point there, and then I'll turn it round to that. Should be fine. Click enter, and that's the planned pushback. So I'll click request pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
Perfect. The pushback tug is now connecting. Yeah, there's loads of different things you can do with this. I haven't really checked them all out, but you can connect all of the ground services using this tab as well as the flypad. It's pretty cool. So let's just wait for the pushback guy to connect.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Right then, we are cleared to release the parking brake. So I'll go back into the...
Please release parking brake.
Yeah, okay.
Parking brakes are released.
Give me one
Commencing
second.
pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will
Okay,
start
then.
in the sequence.
Now we are ready for engine start. There's an engine mode panel down underneath the throttle quadrant here. You want to turn your mode selector to ignition/start, like that. It turns all of the air conditioning off because all of the power is then being put towards the engine start, all of the bleed air. So now I want to start engine 1 first. I believe it's engine 1 first on the A320neo, so click engine 1, and that's then starting engine 1. Oh no, we've got a default aircraft. Don't like to see that. So yeah, in addition to the sounds that you can hear on the engine panel and on the upper ECAM display, you can see all of the numbers rising, which is a very good thing. We just want them to stabilise before we start the engine 2. So that click that you might have just heard was the buses switching, the electronic buses switching over to engine 1.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
So let's start engine 2 now. same thing as engine 1, and we'll set the parking brake
Parking
there.
brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
And again, you can watch the
Ground. Startup is
EGT
complete.
rising,
You may disconnect.
N2
Roger.
rising.
Good engine start. Clear to disconnect. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Not
Hold
quite
in
a good
position
engine
waiting
start.
for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Turn the beacon light on as well. Forgot about that. Don't forget about that. I do it all the time. Just a force of habit. Get into the habit of turning your beacon light on before push and start, because I make that mistake quite a lot. Now, one additional thing that we can do at this point is we can lower the flaps. So if we select down here, we can then move the flaps to the 1 position as we set earlier. Ground spoilers, you need to arm them, so that's with the white. You can see a little bit of white there. That means that your ground spoilers are armed. Our engines have both started very nicely. So I've set the parking brake already. I'll turn the engine mode selector back to normal again. There we go. And yeah, next thing we can do, you can go back up to the overhead panel, turn the APU bleeds to the off position, and the APU master switch can come off. So now we are relying solely on the engines to provide us with power. Now the pushback tug has now gone, so that's absolutely great. If we go back up to the top again, I can turn the nose light to taxi, and I can start my taxi. Parking brake off as well, that'll be helpful. And now we are moving. Just oversteered a little bit there. My rudder pedals don't like my Xbox controller connected. I have to do something about that. So yeah, just taxiing along really to runway 28. Not a very far taxi at all, actually. So yeah, I hope you guys are all very well. This is the first time I've uploaded a flight sim video in quite a while. I hope you enjoy my YouTube shorts, because I've been to Heathrow a few times doing plane spotting there. And yeah, I think that I'm going to do YouTube shorts for plane spotting now, instead of editing whole videos of plane spotting, which takes me ages to, you know, edit all the footage when it can all be done just through YouTube Shorts, which is very simple, and it's more popular nowadays. So yeah, I use YouTube Shorts for all of that now, in terms of plane spotting. Hope you're all right with that. If you do enjoy me making you know, full video content of plane spotting, then do let me know, as I am willing to make a few of them. Anyway, as I pull up to runway 28 now, I will fully stop and set the parking brake, because we've got a quick checklist to go through. So on the upper ECAM display you can see a sort of checklist here, that we need to make sure there are no blue things here. So auto brake to max. Over to the right hand side underneath the landing gear annunciators we can select the auto brake to max. This is in the event of a rejected takeoff. So that blue light has now gone. Cabin, we'll call a few times and a few times again until the guy says, yeah, no, that's fine. Cabin is ready, and takeoff config we can test by pressing this button here, and that will come up with any warnings, but takeoff config is normal. Okay then, so down to the right hand side here, if you're on a online network, then you want to put your transponder to the auto position at the top here, and TA/RA. This is also known as squawking mode Charlie, which you squawk in the air basically when you're flying, so that the air traffic controllers can see you on radar. Now if we go back up to the top, we can turn the nose light to the takeoff position, runway turn-off light to the on position, landing lights both on, wing light on, and strobe light to the on position as well. And now if we go and release the parking brake, we are ready to go. We're already rolling. So let's just taxi out towards the runway now. And get ourselves lined up. And then we'll stop and ready ourselves for departure. There we go, pretty good lineup. I'll set the toe brakes back on again. And then, yeah, we are all ready to go. So I'll move the throttle up a little bit. About 40%. Make sure the engines are stabilised, which they are. And wait to hear through 2 clicks, sorry. And then on the top here we see Manflex +38, SRS runway, auto thrust is blue. I don't know what happened to the frame rate. It's back now. And the purple marker means the rotate speed. So we can rotate now. Positive rate gear up, and we basically follow the crosshairs in the middle of the primary flight display. The green crosshair is the flight director. You want to follow that as closely as you possibly can. So I'm just manually flying the aircraft at the moment, just keeping within the crosshair. Now you see the flashing light now has come up for lever climb, so I reduced the throttle down to thrust climb mode, so we've got thrust climb and climb annunciators on the top of our primary flight display, all set and fine. Now increasing our speed, so we're at a 10-degree angle now, and I'm going to put my flaps up, which gets rid of that red on the speed tape, because it increases our speed without overstressing the aircraft too much. So now at this point we're ready to put the autopilot on. So now we can select AP1 in the middle of the panel, and the aircraft is now flying itself. Down in the bottom right hand side of the primary flight display you can see QNH 1012 flashing. We then want to go up to the top here and pull that dial there and set it to standard. So QNH is now set to 1013. I've now also clicked the standby altimeter to standard as well. You just push that in as well. And the aircraft is quite nicely flying itself. If we go up to the top here, we can turn the runway turn-off lights off and the nose lights to the off position as well. And we're flying quite nicely out of Faro now. Very, very nice indeed. Again, the livery is on the flightsim.to website. I'll link it in the description down below, because I'd highly recommend it. Again, with all of the dirt and stuff, it looks very, very nice. And I just wanted a EasyJet Europe A320neo livery, so it's very nice indeed. Again, up the top here, everything is looking perfectly fine, and now we're at 10,000 feet. We can turn the landing lights off too, and the wing lights can come off as well. And we're now increasing our speed to our climb speed of 290 knots. I'll also increase the brightness of the navigation display. So I can extend the range out now to about 320 nautical miles. You can see all of the different waypoints that we've got on the route today. I can't extend the range any further, but the route does carry on after to where we can't see yet. So the blue marker here and the green and the pink dot that's just come up at Aurora is the top of climb. So that's in about 80 miles or so. Again, climbing up to flight level 380 will take a little while, but yeah, I hope you enjoy the scenery as I give you a few cinematics.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an EasyJet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Okay then, so a fairly turbulent departure there, but I think things have pretty much stabilised back out again. We're passing flight level 230, so still plenty of time on our climb to go. As you can see, we've got, you know, about 60 miles left until our cruise altitude is reached. We can go down to the bottom here and disarm our ground spoilers by pushing them down, and we can also go up to the top and turn our seatbelt signs off now, because the passengers are now free to move around the cabin. That's pretty much all we've got until top of climb, so more cinematics. Okay then, so that wraps it up for today's episode. This is a sort of part 1 departure tutorial of the FlyByWire A32NX. In the future you will see the landing tutorial as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video today. That's it for now, because my flight sim has memory leaks at the moment, and so I couldn't record the full flight unfortunately, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyway, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.